our final three. Hi again, everybody. I'm Dave Armstrong, along with Hall of Famer Earl Anthony. Earl, everyone has said this is the strongest field we have had so far, and the storyline we are following today is Lynn's Limited. For the third time, maybe it's the third time being the charm for them, they will try to qualify for Reno.
Well, they're trying very hard, and they're very determined to win today. This is a team that's been a champion in the past. They won Minnesota 2 years ago, so they know what it's like to be winners. They've been unfortunate this year. They led in Minnesota again, finished second. They've got a third this year. They feel today is their day.
We'll see if it is their day, and for the right to face them, our first match of the day, and it's coming up next. Jimbo's Pro Shop out of Memphis, Tennessee, taking on Brunswick Bayliners. We'll have that when we come back to NKC Pro Bowl in just a moment. And Brunswick Bayliners, it will be Jimbo's Pro Shop who will begin on the left lane. In fact, Jimbo himself, Jimbo Martin, will start off. Again, we'll remind you this is a two-game total pin match, and we are using the Baker format, which means that each bowler will bowl 2 frames. You see Jimbo's number is 16. He bowls the first and 6th. If you're 27, it's the 2nd and 7th, and so on. And he goes Brooklyn, and he leaves a tough spare.
He does. The 3-9, that's not the kind of spare you want to shoot in your opening frame. And a little bit of nerves here, I'm sure, for all the players. And this team really made a move to get into this position. You know, they were down to 10th after their opening match.
They were down to 10th after that opening match, Earl, and as far as number 7 with just 3 matches to go, and rolled a 256 in the very last match to get in by 52 pins and overcome a team led by Mike Albee and Dick Weber, by the way. Top spare, and he does it. Let's take a look at the Contour Power Grip starting lineup, brought to you by Contour Power Grips, pioneers in the finger grip industry. Mike Machuga, Jeff Beasley, Mike Shady, Chris Barnes, and Rick Miller will be the lineup for Brunswick Bayliners. And here is Mike Machuga. Mike is a sophomore at the University of Nebraska, and he starts his team off with a strike. This team originally was called the Corn Shockers, sort of a combination of the Corn Huskers and the Wichita State Wheat Shockers. Chris Barnes is bowling for this team. And now with a spare showing, here's Vic Culbreth. Again going Brooklyn, and this time with the strike. So both the first 2 bowlers for Jimbo's have crossed over. You see their lineup, brought to you again by the pioneers of the finger grip industry, Contour Power Grips. More pros choose Contour Power Grips, and you should too. Jeff Beasley will try to double up for the Brunswick Bayliners. Beasley, a senior at the University of Nebraska, and a double to start things off for the Corn Shockers. By the way, in the head-to-head competition between these two teams, and it was the very last match of the day, Jimbo's won easily, defeating the Corn Shockers, or now the Brunswick Bayliners, 448 to 365, and that was the game, the first one, when Jimbo's had the 256. They strung together 8 straight strikes. Tommy Martin again crossing over. They're having trouble getting lined up on the left lane, Earl.
It looks to me like there's a little bit of difference between the 2 lanes. What's impressive to me so far in watching as we get started here is the quality of play by these young guys on this Wichita team, or excuse me, it used to be the Wichita team, I guess. The way they get to the foul line, how steady they are, the quality of their play, that shows good teaching in our college. The universities are really getting some fine instructions out to these young players.
That's this one he pulled all the way. So not converting on the 3-9 this time. Tommy Martin, and the first open frame of the match. And that will bring up Mike Shady, a chance to go for the turkey here early on. And by the way, Bud Light is offering $25,000 to any team in the televised finals that bowls a perfect 300. There goes that possibility, at least for this game.
That was quick, wasn't it?
Yes, it was.
One of our, and again, another difficult spare here. We're going to take another look at Mike's approach here. Watch how he pushes the ball out away from him, swings it behind his body, and this creates leverage, helps him get a little bit more on the inside of the shot, a little more back end of the ball. This one didn't quite get back. best way to play this spare is down the left side, hard and straight. Try not to hook it. Show it right between the 2-pin and the 5-pin.
Mike, a collegiate national champion when he bowled for the University of Nebraska, and the spare in the 3rd. So you see our early scoreboard with that open frame for Jimbo's. They trail now by 21. Trying to get them back on track now will be Steve Patterson. '21 300 games for Steve.
Only the 2-pin. Pretty easy spare there. Came in light. First guy on the team to get it on that side of the head pin.
Yeah, so you're right.
I think the left lane is, yeah, he did. I think the left lane is probably hooking a little more than the right lane, and a lot of that is determined by how much practice the players do on the pair before they start. And they each team gets 7 minutes. 3 teams, that's a lot of practice. So they can change the lane condition drastically, and it's been a hard condition anyway. Scores have been low. Only one team averaged over 200 in the qualifying. The match play scores are not nearly as high as we've had in the past, but it was a very competitive, very strong field. So that made it even more competitive by keeping the scores basically in that lower range. It makes the guys work harder, and these guys can all make great shots. And here's one of them that can really make good shots.
Chris Barnes. And there's another strike for Chris. I'll tell you what. This guy is a quality bowler. Remember the 94 and 95 Team USA squads.
College Player of the Year a few years ago, and here's a good look at his style. You can see just above the shoulder height, kind of like a Pete Weber, but look at the balance at the foul line, the long follow through, the direction to the target, and the shoulders right over the knees.
That's a style that will last, right?
And here's a little different style.
Thumb out of the ball.
Richard Howell. 1 for 1, not bad. We're going to take a look at his style a little later on when he switched lanes. As you know, we do switch lanes after each game, and it's very unique. His footwork is very unique. He doesn't use his thumb in the ball, and again, we've had a lot of people on repeat telecasts that have been winners, and here's one of them.
Here's Rick Miller, 26 now, former Husker bowler, and oh boy, tough break there for Brunswick Bayliners. Very tough. 4-7-10. And very tough for either lefty or righty, but I would think especially so for a left-hander.
Well, if there is anybody that has it a little easier, it'd be a left-hander, because you can hook the ball into the spare. He'll throw it hard down the edge of the lane, try to keep it out there, and he did.
Ooh.
Oh my, it was close.
Very close to going for it, but that will make our first match here much closer. And there's a look at downtown Kansas City from Lookout Mountain. We're in the heart of the Midwest, and we'll return in just a moment. To the 6th frame. Brunswick still leads, but their lead cut to 7, and if Jimbo's can double up here, they would actually take the lead. And here is Jimbo Martin. And there's the double, and there's the lead.
Pretty good adjustment there. A lot more ball speed, got the ball well out in the lane, at least 7 or 8 feet out over the first part of the lane. That's what delayed the hook, kept it in the pocket.
So a swing in momentum here early on in match number 1. Again, we'll remind you, it's a 2-game match. We'll add up the total pins for both games. And there's a strike. Good way to come back from an open frame.
Another look at Mike Machuga at the foul line here. The good balance, the good long follow through. You see the hand going up. As long as that elbow stays down and the hand goes up to the ceiling, it's pretty hard to make a bad shot.
Big Culbreth crossed over his first time. Right through the nose that time, and perhaps fortunate to leave just the 6-10.
Very fortunate. Last pin down, the 7th pin. Now he's cross lane. Pretty easy spare for him.
You see high games, Lynn's limited. You'll see them later on. They're in the number 1 spot right now. And our high game, Yuri Shelwitz from Omaha.
That was pretty good.
279.
I'm impressed.
Amazing what phonics will do to you.
Well, we had 81 teams here. They bowled about 5,000 games, and when you consider that the high game was in the 270s, it shows you not only that the lane condition was difficult, but the quality of the players. A lot of good players. People like Dick Weber and Mike Albee and
Steve Cook and Bob Handley and Gary Dickinson.
That's quite a list. Said over 20 professional bowlers were in Kansas City this weekend. And some more Len Boresch. 705 high series. Joe Vito, a familiar name to amateur bowlers all over the country. And there again, Joe Vito with a qualifying average of 221. Pat Healy Jr. was here as well. His team finished in the top 10. And the spare for Brunswick Bayliners. So here we are through 7 and a very tight match. At first it looked like Brunswick was going to run away with things, and then Jimbos steadied themselves. Brunswick made a slight error in the 5th frame with an open on a split. Well, how about that for a big break? Once upon a time he was looking at a 4-9 and got them both to go.
Got them both to go. And here's another look at it. Watch the good pin action. Watch what happens to the head pin as it goes off, kicks the 2-pin off the wall, kicks out the 4, and the ball, of course, just got enough of the 9 to get it down.
And all smiles for Tommy. Now Mike Shady. That was solid.
Little love tap on that 10-pin, just enough to get it out. And kind of a unique style there for Mike. He kind of pushes the ball out away and gets it out of position, but he wants it there so he can get it behind him. Creates leverage, gets him that little bit more hitting power on the back end.
Chance to double up for Steve Patterson. Boy, almost threw that one in the channel. Lost it.
Well, I think he was trying to make some sort of an adjustment on the lane, and he got it out there in that no man's land where nobody's been playing, and the oil pattern is still there. And he actually got out of the ball pretty well. He just got away from him. When you get it outside that second arrow and out near the channel, it's not going to come back. There's just the lane condition is difficult. There's no margin for error out there. You must make good shots to get the ball in the pocket area, and he needs to throw his strike ball here to make this spare.
A little bit high, and that leaves the 3. So another open frame for Jimbo's Pro Shop, and that will give the lead back to Brunswick Bayliners. And here's Chris Barnes. He struck his first time up.
Well, Chris was on the winning team last week in Baltimore, and now here he is filling in for Brunswick Bayliners and trying to help this team get all the way to Reno.
Also on Team USA. Who's he going to play for when he gets to Reno?
He can only bowl on one team, so I'm sure it's going to be Team USA.
Yeah.
He has a commitment there.
Well, that's 2 for Chris Barnes and 2 in a row for Brunswick Bayliners. They have now surged back in front by 20. We head to the 10th frame. Boy, a chance for Brunswick to really put a big hole in this match if they can strike out in the 10th, and Jimbo's knows that.
Richard's been doing this no thumb thing for about 10 years now. He's 27 years old, so since he was 17, he's been throwing it like this and getting that kind of result. 2 for 2.
2 for 2 today for Richard Howell. Let's see if he can.
I'd like to see him get the next one, make it more exciting. Get his team out with a 190 game, and maybe we can really have a close match going into the second game. There's a good look at how he lays his hand, lays the ball in the palm of his hand, just uses the 2 fingers. You have to be very strong to do this. You can see how he cups it with his wrist. Tremendous strength in his forearms. 3 for 3.
Oh my! Should have been.
Right.
Should have been. Not for the 10. All right, a question then, Earl. He goes for it with the no thumb on the strike ball. Will he do the same for the spare?
No, he puts his thumb on the ball for the spares. I was talking to him earlier about how he developed this kind of style. He said before he started bowling with no thumb in the ball, he threw the ball straight. Actually, he was a straight ball player. There you can see he put the thumb in the ball.
There's another hole that we saw in that ball as well. What's that one?
That's a balance hole. That's most of the players today do have that balance hole in the ball. It's called leverage weight, or there's a lot of different names for it. But what it does is balance the ball, keeps it within the requirements of the American Bowling Congress for balanced side, top, and all that kind of stuff.
for 182 for Jimbo's.
Well, there was an opportunity wasted there, a chance to really get out in front by a pretty considerable margin, a possible 223. Now maybe a 201 if he can spare this up. If he should be unlucky and chop it, we've got a pretty even match. Should be down in the 190s.
He did chop.
Oh, look at there.
Wow, is that a break? He chopped it, but it came back to get it. Oh, is that a break?
We're going to look at that again now. You won't see this very often. This is just a product of ball speed. He hits the pin cushion in the back, comes all the way back onto the pin deck. And not only was he fortunate that it came back on the pin deck, but it came back on the right spot to knock down the 6-pin.
That's a break if ever there was one. And then a 7 count. And they finish with a 198. So they'll take a 16-pin lead into game number 2. So still anybody's match here. Match 1 at NKC Pro Bowl. And we'll be back with the Brunswick World Team Challenge at number 2.
And to give you an idea, Dave has already touched on the fact that we had 81 teams from 19 states, and they all bowled 6 games of qualifying. The top 10 advanced to match play, which is 9 2-game Baker matches, 18 games in all in the Baker system. They carried their pinfall from the qualifying into that position, and then the top 3 teams after the match play advanced to what you see right here, our televised finals, with the winner, of course, going on to Reno, Nevada for the World Team Challenge title.
Coming up next month. That'll be fun.
Looking forward to that. We've got some wonderfully talented teams going to be there, and it should be great.
Well, already we're noticing a difference in the conditions between the left and the right lanes. Mike Machuga was locked in with 2 strikes on the right lane, and he crossed over his first ball. So this is going to play a big factor, I would think.
It is, and let's just see if Jimbo Martin can get lined up quickly. What you want your leadoff man to do is show you where to play. That's what he's up there for. He's the guy that can guide the rest of the team on how the lane is reacting, and this is a very important shot. Gave it lots of room, and it stayed there.
Sure did.
The 1-5. You don't see that spare very often. But this gives us an idea. We were talking about it, and you just mentioned, Dave, how important it is to pay attention. Not only if you look again at that shot, you get it out there, it has no chance. But look at how lucky he was to carry all that 4-7 and everything out over there. But the difference in the 2 lanes and how well you pay attention not only to how your team is bowling on the lane you're on, but you should also pay attention to your opposition, because it gives you a little bit of a step up on adjusting to the lane condition when you switch lanes.
Well, that's a tough way to go after that. The 1-5.
Did the job.
Spinning the ball right at it.
Well, see, he didn't help his team there. He gave the ball way too much room, got it out there in what they already all know is no man's land, because it's not going to come back out near the channel. Wasn't a good shot. Wasn't a good leadoff shot.
It's like being in a scramble golf team and the first putter rolls it 9-10 feet by the hole and doesn't show you the line.
Again, here's a guy that is completely confused. He just watched his teammate hit the middle of the head pin and actually go high Brooklyn, and he made no adjustment at all there. It surprises me. As well schooled as he is in the physical attributes of the game, somebody has to help him a little bit with the mental side, it looks like. He should have been paying more attention to his leadoff bowler.
Almost fell over there, and back-to-back open frames, missing the head pin twice, Jeff Beasley. My goodness, they have pushed the door wide open for Jimbo's. And finishing in 4th, you recognize a couple of familiar faces there, a lot of familiar faces on that team. Bowling Magazine, they finished out of it by 52 pins. Vice Grips 1 out of Lockport finished 5th. And right through the head pin, leaving the 3. Is Vic Culbreth.
We get a look at Vic's footwork one of these times, because it's kind of interesting. He's got a tennis shoe on, and the reason he's wearing that tennis shoe is to give him more leverage at the foul line so he won't slip, and there you see it on his right foot. But it's how he came about that tennis shoe. That's a brand new shoe. Now, the reason that's a brand new shoe is he came here with a brand new pair of Len bowling shoes with the traction sole on the right foot so he could get traction going to the foul line, and someone stole it. So he ended up buying a pair of tennis shoes, and this is after waiting 6 weeks for those shoes, which he special ordered to be delivered to him, and then all of a sudden it's gone, and he was very disappointed. But the tennis shoe is helping, but he says it's not quite as good as that Len shoe would have been.
Len shoes are the finest, no question about it. And worth the Well, a better adjustment that time for Mike Shady as we look at our 6th place finisher from San Antonio, Columbia 300. Saw Joe Vito there. And 7th place out of Track Inc., Topeka, Kansas. And 8th, it was Len's Minnesota Loons out of Maplewood, Minnesota. In 9th from Monroe, Wisconsin, Leisure Lanes. And in 10th place, our final qualifier, Highland Park Bowl out of Moline, Illinois. So the spare, the first mark of this second game for Brunswick Bayliners. Remember, Jimbo started with a 16-pin deficit, but now they have the lead.
Tommy Martin needs to get something going good here, and it's never too early to start. It's kind of a unique style here, and he got it out there near the second arrow and got it all the way back.
So a strike for Tommy Martin, and Jimbo's Pro Shop has the lead here as you look at the wonderful fountains here near the plaza in Kansas City. More fountains here than anywhere except Paris. Scoreboard shows Jimbo's now with a 5-pin lead, so with these next 7 frames, ought to be exciting. Brunswick Bayliners now, Chris Barnes.
Chris 2 for 2 so far, so he's been a lot of help. You only get 4 chances to help your team in one of these matches, and you really feel the pressure.
Even he crosses over, gets the strike, says thank you very much.
Well, and he made an adjustment there. I was watching him closely on lane 42, and here we get another look at Chris. He's moved at least an arrow to the left with his target, maybe 8-10 boards with his feet, and the ball still hooked Brooklyn for him. You can see the look on his face when he let that go. He was a little nervous there.
Now Steve Patterson.
A lot of ball speed here. He held the line very well.
2 in a row now for Jimbo's Pro Shop.
I think the advantage definitely right now is Jimbo's Pro Shop. I think lane 42 is the more scoreable of the 2 lanes, and there's more margin for error and still get the ball to the pocket area. The left-hand lane, lane 41, has been more difficult because the ball tends to hook more. Makes it harder to keep the ball in play.
The only lefty, no one to line up on, but it doesn't matter to Rick Miller, who doubles up for Brunswick Bayliners. So he answers.
We've got a match. This is a good one.
5 pins the lead, and here's Richard Howell.
Here's a man that can really make the difference for him. It generally comes down to the anchor man, what he can do for you when you need him the most. And right now, Jimbo's Pro Shop needs a strike out of this young man. If he can keep the ball on the right-hand side of the head pin and still hook it back, which he seems to be able to hook it from anywhere, he could be awful tough in the 10th frame. Oh, my, look at this.
Wow. He deserved a better fate than that.
He did. 1, 3, 4, 6, 10. And here's another look at that shot, and he gets so much back in that the ball just cuts right through there. There's bonus money if you can get it back through there without touching anything, right?
That's unbelievable. How do you make this?
There's 2 ways to make it. Shoot it like the washout. In other words, cross the head pin on the left side, make the head pin go into the 6 and the 10. Or you can fit it between them like the baby split, throw it hard and straight, and let the ball deflect into the 6-10. He's trying to deflect it. Almost got it.
Everything but the 6. Nice try.
Good try.
So that will hand the lead back to Brunswick Bayliners. This lead has seesawed itself back and forth several times in this match. And it is still a long way from being decided.
No question about that. This is our typical televised performance, it seems. We get so many that come down to the last bowler. Still haven't made the move that it seems pretty obvious sitting back here, and it's a lot easier to talk about than it is to do, obviously, but the move is there. The adjustment is pretty obvious, don't you think?
But also, Earl, I think there's the fear if you get it out too far that you lose it out to the right.
It's a possibility, but not yet have we seen anybody lose it to the right on this lane. Lane 41, it's been the one that tends to want to really come back hard. It seems like the ball is hooking earlier in the lane. In other words, it's harder to get the ball down the lane before it picks up friction. And I think that's the problem more than anything. They're afraid to move too far because if they do, then the ball will get through that area and then skid out, as you mentioned.
So Jimbo Martin now. He's the owner of Jimbo Martin's Pro Shop.
We certainly hope so,
Memphis,
right?
Yes. Unless there is another Jimbo Martin in Memphis that owns a pro shop. I rather doubt it. Said they all bowl together frequently and have for years in Memphis. Well, crossing over for the strike.
Right now, they'll take anything they can get.
Absolutely. So a strike there, and our match almost dead even. This is a great one. Come back and watch the finals of it when we come back in just a moment. Past 3 Jimbos with the washout. They could not convert, and now Jimbo's trailing here by 22 down to the latter stages of match number 1. The winner will go on to meet Lynn's Limited.
Best shot we've seen on that lane, and that was perfect right when they need it.
Mike Shady. Nothing shady here. This one was definitely sunny.
And it shows a little experience on Mike's part. This guy's a former national PBA champion. He's been in positions before where he's had to make good shots, and he did it for his team there right when they needed him the most.
Tommy Martin, you see, he's won 1 PBA regional title.
A little different approach here. Different arm swing. He gets the job done. You see him bend that elbow and kind of flip it and stand up at the foul. And look what happens.
Yep. Gets it there, and he has 3 strikes in 4 frames, Tommy Martin. Now Chris Barnes.
Here's another guy that's been in this position many times. Even as young as he is, he still knows how to get the job done. Remember last time when he crossed the head pin and carried the strike? I'm sure he'll make a move here. Question is the ball speed. He has to increase the ball speed, keep the ball in line.
Trying to set things up for this guy, Rick Miller. Barnes 3 for 3 so far today.
A lot of ball speed there. Tremendous ball speed. Ball still hooked high, and he carried it. A little bit of a rollout there, and that's the reason that ball struck. If that ball had continued to hook, he would have had the 4-6. Here's another look at it. Look at the ball. It's going into a heavy roll right there. Kind of straightens out. Doesn't continue with the break. If it continued to break, he would have had the 4-6. You can see the look on his face is not only relief, but he's pretty happy about that carry. This is a must strike. Oh. Tough spare, and this could be the difference in the match. You can see the looks on the face, disappointment there, and you know, they worked very hard to get to this point.
Came from a long way back, as we've outlined before. They were in 10th place after the first round this morning, and as far back as 7th place with just 3 rounds to go, and now they're basically out of it.
Yeah, that looks to me like the end of this match. And, it's a shame because I was hoping to see it come down to these 2 anchor men, both of them very talented and capable of throwing a lot of strikes.
Well, that'll do it. Rick Miller with a strike in the first ball in the 10th frame, and that will wrap things up for Brunswick Bayliners. That gives them 3 in a row. Well, they said, well, we gave it a shot. We came from Memphis, had fun. Some of them had entered a couple of other Brunswick World Team Challenge events, but this was the first time they've competed as Jimbo's Pro Shop. And Rick Miller continues to strike. And now you got to wonder about Lynn's Limited. 3 times now they have been to the finals, this being their 3rd time. Will it be the charm for them? That's the story we'll be following in our championship match. They take on a very tough and very young but experienced Brunswick Bayliner team. And very experienced in the Baker format. Collegiate bowlers all. They're very familiar with this format. And they will move on now to the finals to take on Lynn's Limited out of Somerset, Wisconsin. We'll have all of that coming up for you again here on our program today on Prime. And we'll watch Richard Howell finish.
Richard having a little problem here, but this is all over, and he's just kind of relaxing and finishing it out. I'd like to see him make this spare, and then maybe we get just a little glimpse of his footwork on his fill ball. Well, maybe we won't get a look at his footwork, but
we'll try to bust away here
bit,
so that we can show you the entire championship match if possible. Well, an open frame in the 10th, but it matters little. It will be Brunswick Bayliners speeding on to the finals here to take on Lynn's Limited. We'll have all of that for you when we come back to NKC Pro Bowl in Kansas City in just a moment. Challenge has been rolling across the country for 3 years now, putting the spotlight on the best teams in the world. Let's take a look at the Team Challenge's expanded 1995-96 schedule. We'll be returning to some popular locations, plus adding a new stop in Wichita, Kansas. Now, the Open Division is open to any ABC or WIBC member. The Team Challenge Women's Division will also be expanded next season to 6 events. The Women's Division is open to WIBC members only. World Team Challenge events fill up fast, so get lines down. Bowling instructor Beth Owens rolled games of 235, 268, and 246 to take the lead in singles. Her all events total of 1983 also put her at the top of that category. Carol Harsh and Debbie Villani of Las Vegas combined for a 12.99 in doubles, taking the lead by 19 pins. We saw the Contour Power Grips team in action when they won the World Team Challenge Women's event in Indianapolis. Now they've captured the lead in the WIBC team category with a 31-25. That's the second highest team game in WIBC tournament history. Setting an ABC or WIBC record is the ultimate achievement for a bowler. Now the top accomplishments in the sport are all in one place, the Bowler's Encyclopedia. The encyclopedia includes ABC and WIBC records, plus statistics and oddities. Everything from ABC and WIBC tournament entries by year to the record for most fouls in one league game. Profiles of ABC and WIBC Hall of Famers honor bowling's past, while the collegiate and international sections provide a glimpse of the sport's future. The 224-page Bowler's Encyclopedia is available by mail for only $10, which includes shipping and handling, from bowling headquarters in Greendale, Wisconsin. Now here's a family for the record book. Dwight Opplinger rolled an 810 series in 1984. Recently, he and his daughter became the first father and daughter with 800s when Jody Jensen rolled one. She and husband Craig are the second married couple with the 800s. The first, Jensen's Uncle Mark and Aunt Connie Jensen. And coming up from North Kansas City Pro Bowl, our championship match. Stay tuned. Welcome you back to NKC Pro Bowl in North Kansas City. Gus Yannaras shaking hands with Mike Machuga. Gus will start things off for Lens Limited. We have seen Gus twice before this year in the televised finals, and he said this is it. We're not going to Pittsburgh. We're not going anywhere else. We're going to Reno.
Well, they qualified second in St. Louis, lost, finished third. They qualified first, led by over 200 pins in Minnesota this year, finished second, lost by 5 pins in that match. And that's not the kind of start you want. It's not an inspirational start, let's put it that way.
No, it's not. A washout.
Then he's going to switch bowling balls, go to something that won't hook as much, and he feels he has more control over to try to slide this head pin into the 10 pin, get the ball on the left side of the head pin here. That's trouble.
Yep, missed the head pin all the way. So an open to start things off for Lens Limited, which has to leave them thinking, oh boy, do we do this again? You know, right now mentally they've got a hurdle to climb after getting to the finals twice before.
And we talked about that. I talked about him before the telecast, and really the guy that leads that team is Gus Yannaras. He's the guy that gets them pumped up, gets them mentally going, and sometimes maybe they get a little over-aggressive. Somebody just sneezed right in his backswing. That has to be, well, he got away with it.
He looked back, too, at the sneezer. Did not hurt the result. He did cross over for the strike.
Well, he crossed the nose there and carried it on the Brooklyn side, so the sneeze didn't hurt.
The sneeze from the nose?
Sneeze didn't hurt.
He crossed the nose.
All right, there's a name for you. Now you know how to say this one.
Gary Daroszewski.
There you go. This guy can play. He's been around a while. He's a real good pocket player. Keeps the ball in play. Likes him tough because he's a good player in tough conditions, and that's why.
Cream rising to the top. Big strike there for Gary Daroszewski. Kept this one really straight.
Yeah, he did, and that's a good ball speed, good heavy end-over-end roll, and that's what kept the ball on line. The ball's going to go in direction of rotation, and that one had end-over-end. That's what kept it in the pocket.
Let me ask you a question, Earl, as Jeff Beasley bowls here in the second for Brunswick Bayliners. With the tough condition, especially on that left lane, really having trouble finding the pocket, might you go to your spare ball and just throw it straighter and go dead at the pocket?
You know, I've talked with the bowlers about that, and to me it seems like a sensible thing to do, and over the years that I bowled, that's something I probably would do. But these players say, well, those spare balls are made not to hook, not to grip the lane, and they just won't grip the lane and won't hit. So they're afraid when they hit the pocket, they're going to leave a pocket split of some sort. And my opinion is it's better to hit the pocket and at least have a chance to strike than it is to have the ball hooking or going out of control. But they seem to know a lot more about it than I do as far as its resin-reactive bowling balls are concerned.
Mark Wukeman. Mark told us that they really learned a lot in the first two televised finals, learned to relax more.
He has a chance to really get the team back on track here with a strike, and that's a lot of ball speed there, and it's not going to get there. And another tough spare that 210.
As you look at the Contour Power Grip starting lineup, brought to you by the pioneers of the finger grip industry. We've already seen Yannaras, Daroszewski, now Wukeman. Len Boresch will bowl next, and anchored by Dale Traber.
You see, he switched balls also to go for a spare, and this one won't hook. This ball won't hook on anything. I've seen that ball's been around a while. That's one of those really hard shelled balls.
We want to thank all the help this week in Kansas City. And tremendous people here. Marv Townsend, ABC director here in Kansas City. He organizes all the local associations. We thank him for his help this week. Ooh, solid ball from Mike Shady, and he has bowled solidly all day long.
That's one of the really fine shots we've seen that didn't strike, and it's the first real tap, I guess you could call that. There's another look at that shot. The ball looks like it's coming in at a pretty good angle to strike, and you see the 6-pin just go up and around the 10. Mike will move to the left. Straighten out the wrist, try to throw it hard and straight, not let it hook. Right at it.
There it is. And a 23-pin early lead for Brunswick Bayliners, but remember the two open frames for Lynn's Limited. They need to get back on track and do it in a hurry.
Well, it's kind of interesting that they chose to start on the difficult lane of the two, in our opinion, up here anyway, lane 41 and 42. 41 has been the one that's harder to get the ball in play. It hooks more, and it's harder to keep the ball in the pocket area. But they decided to start there, and maybe they feel they can finish strong on the right-hand lane.
Len Boresch with a strike. Well, Derek Thomas is on hand with us today. Outstanding defensive lineman, linebacker for the Kansas City Chiefs.
Waving to Mom, huh?
Yeah. I know where the cameras are. I tell you what, he knows where the quarterbacks are, too. He was out here earlier today at NKC Pro Bowl bowling this morning, Derek Thomas. He has bowled over a lot of quarterbacks in his career. Here's Chris Barnes. Boy, talk about a guy throwing it well. How about Chris Barnes? He has been in the pocket all but once. And that one time he crossed over for a strike. That's the first time he did not have a strike here today.
You see how Chris shoots his spare. See the weak wrist position, kind of like carrying a bucket of water or a suitcase. Just throws it hard and straight.
And there's the result. So it's Brunswick Bayliners with the early lead in our final match. Berlin's.
They call him the Iceman, and the reason they call him the Iceman is he bowls fifth and he does things like that when you need him to.
That's
great under pressure.
There. Big strike there. That gets them back in the match with a double. There's Broderick Thomas, another NFL great here on hand at NKC Pro Bowl. Boy, This has brought out all the stars, this event.
Got a lot of great athletes in the room, along with you and Ed Bauer. And
Ed Bauer, our producer of these telecasts, who works for ABC. Talk about ice in his veins. How about Rick Miller? Now Gus Yannaras in the open in the first frame. I'm sure he wants to redeem himself right here, right now.
These guys have a lot of talent. I think what's hurt them more than anything else, this Len's team, is they get too much into it mentally. Instead of just getting out there and making good shots, they try to analyze their mental attitude going into the match instead of just get up there and throw it like that. Get it done.
How's that for 3 in a row for Len's Limited? Well, they have gotten themselves right back in this match.
And look at the spin on this ball, and that's the reason it went so far down the lane. Instead of rolling it, Gus got around the side intentionally, put a lot of side spin on the ball so it wouldn't grip too soon, kept it in play.
Mike Machuga now up for Brunswick Bayliners. Mike had the crossover strike his first time when someone sneezed. No one sneezed this time, and
maybe they should have.
Result, yeah.
That's too bad, because I think it did affect obviously his first shot when he crossed over, and he might even have that in the back of his mind on this one. Now he has the 6, 7, 10, and he's going to have to get way left on the approach, relax that wrist a little bit, throw it pretty hard and straight, and just try to slide that 6-pin into the 7. Got a chance.
Oh, boy, that was a great attempt at it for Mike Machuga. Well, this is Kansas City, and we show you some football players. Here's where they play, Arrowhead, and here's Kaufman Stadium where the Royals call home. Some of the best sports facilities in the country. Well, you see how things have changed quickly with 3 in a row for Len's Limited. They now lead by 10, a chance to make it 4 straight. Here's Gary Daroszewski. Oh, my. That one was dead solid in the pocket, and he leaves the 10.
Well, he threw it great his first try, got the strike, and he couldn't have thrown it any better than this. This was just where he wanted it. A heavy forward roll, high in the pocket area. Just maybe a bad break there. Maybe the pins were slightly off spot. These Brunswick pins, you got to hit them to get them. Cross lane at the 10 pin, going to that shiny shelled smooth bowling ball so it won't hook. Almost didn't hook enough.
Yeah, I was going to say, hang on. So the spare, and Len's, you get the sense they've got their feet under them now.
Yeah, you do. They feel confident, and they were very determined. Like you mentioned earlier, they don't want to go to Pittsburgh, which is our last stop before the championship rounds in Reno. They have a reservation there in Pittsburgh. They have a spot in the tournament, which has been full for several months. They don't want to use it.
Crossing over, saying, thank you very much, is Jeff Beasley.
Well, he's got the game to play very well. You see here physically, this is how it should be played. The long, straight push away. Look at the position where the ball is, just above shoulder height. A long slide, a good balance. Look at the shoulders, perfectly over the knee, and the high finish with the bowling arm.
Textbook. Mark Wukeman. He gets Len's Limited back on track with a strike.
Mark's the guy they need to help him a lot, because he struggled a little bit on this lane condition, but right now he's making the good shots when Gus and Dale and everybody on that team need him to make them.
Now Mike Shady, solidly in the pocket all day today.
Good-looking young man, very talented athlete. Bit of a bad break there, just a little high in the head pin. Had the 2-pin jump off the wall and kick the 7 out, but he left the 4. Got to look at Mike's game here. Kind of a classic stylist here. A good straight long push away. Lets the ball swing free behind him right from the shoulder. And that long slide, and you can see the balance. And look at the good rotation on the ball here. Just a little high on the head pin.
With that collegiate coaching, you can see it. They almost all have identical styles.
Well, there's a lot of good coaches in the country. Bill Straub up there at the University of Nebraska was there for a number of years. I don't know if Bill's still there, but he knows what he's talking about. Gordon Vatican at Wichita State.
Now Len Boresch. He started a string of 3 straight for Len's Limited. And this time cannot get the 10-pin to go.
Well, he tripped the 4, which Mike Shady couldn't do, and left only the 10. Nice, bright, shiny ball there. That's pretty, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. Again, we see that balance hole we talked about before.
Cross lane here. Use a lot of the lane on your spares. Get as much angle as you can. A lot easier to make them that way.
Perfectly done. So after an open in the first and third frames, Len's limited, very solid, and they have a 9-pin lead. Here's
well, we've
Chris
got
Barnes.
a good match going here. We're getting down to the guys that you want to perform in the clutch. This is our first game of 2 games. Total pins to win.
Certainly don't want to get too far behind, though, after that first game. You want to be in it and then win it in the second game. Boy, every time.
That's about as good as you can get a ball off your hand right there. Here's another look at Chris Barnes. And you can see the cupped wrist, but watch it relax a little in the backswing here. When he gets to the bottom, he gets back under it with the wrist. Ball comes off a little bit early. That's where he wants it. He wants it off early, get all that tremendous roll on it, and watch the 5-pin go all the way over and help kick out the 4 and the 7. And the
Traber, the Iceman. Does he cometh? Well, got some more work to do.
Well, he's a little upset with that. He's pretty happy with that when he let go of it, and I don't blame him. He threw it well. He had a lot of rotation on it, and he had good ball speed to keep it on line. Just hit too hard. 4-9. Try to slide that 4 across into the 9. And Dale is an excellent spare shooter, but the lane condition is such that spares crossing the lane are very tough. Ball wants to hook away from you here.
Ooh, good try at the 4-9. The 4 sliding by the 9. Gus getting up saying that's all right. That's the best you could hope for there. I mean, we were all pulling for you, and you gave it a great effort. And the first ball right in the pocket, just a tough break.
And what a turnaround here. If this if Rick strikes out here in the 10th, they could get out with 206, which would be something in the neighborhood of a 24-pin lead when it looks like they were going to be behind.
Yep. And he crosses over and gets the strike. Sometimes bowlers will say there's no justice in this sport. You have one guy that hits a dead solid in the pocket and leaves the 4-9. The other guy crosses over and gets the strike.
Well, it's like every other game. There has to be some good fortune and bad fortune, and you just can't let it bother you. You have to get up there and just do the best you can. It's easy to say and hard to do, but you have to perform regardless of what your opponent is doing.
Made the adjustment, but that one too light.
Well, not as bad as it might have been. As far as Len's limited is concerned, they're still in this match. It's still within just a couple of strikes of being an even match. As if he spares here, they get out with about a 193, which is like an 11-pin lead, if my numbers are correct.
You are correct, sir. And 11 pins will be the lead for Brunswick Bayliners. Can Len's come back? Pins appear to be tougher on the left lane than they do on the right.
Well, if anybody should know, they should. This is their second time around.
Get another crossover strike for these former University of Nebraska bowlers. Chris Barnes from Wichita State, the lone non-Husker on that team. Now Gus Yannaras. He struck his last time.
I expect this team here, Len's Limited, to really make something happen on lane 42. They're very experienced. They got a lot of talent. And I believe they made the decision to finish on this lane because they felt they could strike here. And right through the nose for Gus Yannaras. He knew this lane was tighter, and he just gave the ball a little bit more, and it finished higher than he wanted it to. Got away with something. He had the 4-7-10 for briefly. Excuse me, the 6-7-10, leaving only the 6-10. Can't afford any mistakes now. They have to get it going, and they got to get it going early because I don't think they're going to get any help from these kids over here.
No, I don't either. Well, earlier, Bowling Magazine had a challenge match. Dick Weber, Chris Barnes took on Mike Albee and Bob Handley, and it was the Weber-Barnes team in the 2-game Baker match, winning it 402 to 384. And you see the money that was raised for charity for the Children's Miracle Network and for the Bowling Hall of Fame. Well, that one got through the nose. Again, they're trying to make that adjustment, and the ensuing split.
No, the leadoff man crossed over, got the strike. This young man tried to throw it a little bit harder, force it down the lane, and didn't get away with it. 4-6-7. Take 2 and just get out of there. That's all you can do with this.
took the 2 and went after it a little bit as well. You see the qualifying averages. Len's, they were the top qualifier, and near the top in Baker as well, 195. That's an excellent Baker average. And Len's has pretty much been in control throughout from start to finish. Len's Limited. You see their match play record, but look at Brunswick. The only match they lost was to Jimbo's, and they redeemed themselves on that here today. Well, how about that?
Well, sometimes you overreact to the lane condition. You know that the lane is tighter. You know you can't give it as much room, so you kind of square it up, and then the ball gets away from you. But he got away in the right spot. Got to Brooklyn.
Now we're averaging in, or factoring in, game 1 as far as our plus and minus total, and a +1 now for Len's after they trailed by 11. Shady, oh my. He was looking at a 4.67 and they all fell.
I look at Mike Shady and I see him in cowboy boots and a cowboy hat and a pair of jeans on sitting on a horse. He's just got that angular look about his face. And here's another look at that pin action. You see high on the head pin, almost the big 4 there. Gets everything, all the help he needs out of the channel. Got to hurry.
Mark Wookeman with the double.
Here they come.
Here comes Lenz.
He's been the guy I think that they were worried about more than anybody on the team, because he was struggling on this lane condition, and he's been the guy that's really come through for him.
Mm-hmm.
Chris Barnes, and he wants to get things turned around for Brunswick Bayliner here with a strike, get a double, get back in this match. See the concentration on his face, the look in his eyes, the steady head to the foul line. All that roll. Too much roll, maybe.
Too much is right. Oh, boy.
Well, he knew he needed to help his team here, get him back into the match, and he thought he was capable of doing it. Thought he made a good shot, but 6, 7, 10. You'll see a lot of ball speed on this. Here's another look at that shot. You can see how deep he's playing, laying the ball down clear over by the 5 board on the left-hand side, and it's still hooked too much. Watch Chris. Good spare shooter. A lot of ball speed here. Really throw it hard at the corner.
Not quite enough. It was a valiant effort at the 6, 7, 10, but another open frame and a chance for Len's Limited now to punch a big hole in this match, going for 4 in a row. Excuse me, 3 in a row. And they don't get that either, so it's the 4, 6, 10, so you give it right back. High on the head pin.
Well, it's important now just to get the count. Get the 2 pins on the right. Don't try to be a hero here. Because you're on a double, you want that pin count.
He got the 2, and that's all. But that, again, opens the door for Brunswick Bayliners. And here's Rick Miller. Again, too high. Now, the tension will really start to mount now in these final 5 frames. Each ball will be bowling for the final time.
You know, everybody struggled a lot on lane 41, and it doesn't seem like anyone has found a way to get the ball far enough down the lane. They just wants to hook early, and that even makes spare stuff. So this is not a gimme. Well done there.
Now Del Traber will try to get Len's Limited back on track after an open frame in the 4th.
It's his first try on lane 42, and as so many of our matches do, and I've mentioned before, they can come down to the 10th frame and can be determined by the anchorman, and this is the guy you want lined up, and that's not even in the ballpark there.
Oh, my. That was not even close, Earl.
That ball was going left on the left his hand. Here's a look at it. You can see the ball never even gets to the right-hand side of the head pin. Whether he lost it off his hand or what, it doesn't look like it. It looks like he was just lined up improperly. He expected the ball to skid. It hooked. Now, this is a tough spare for a right-hander. The 1, 3, 8, 10, and I doubt if he shot this many times in his life.
Nope. What was he trying to do? To get to the left of the head pin?
I think he would try to cross the head pin, but I don't know what he was trying to do, really.
Well, anyway, another open frame for Len's Limited. This is their third time to the finals. Can they do it today? Right now, it's Brunswick with a 5-pin lead. Kansas City, which sits on the shores of the Missouri River, and here's the Missouri River Queen, one of the river boats that tour up and down this fine Midwest city. Well, we get down to the nitty-gritty now. A 5-pin lead for Brunswick Bayliners as we head down to the final frames.
Oh, my. He got some good ball speed on that one. Look at this. Whoa. That's aggressive, and I like to see that. He came out there, and he says, I'm going to get this one. He just let it all go there. Great rotation, great ball speed, and the good pin action.
Well, the 5 almost stood up again.
Well, you got to hit these Brunswick pins to get them. That's the way it's supposed to be.
I guess so. And we'll see if Gus Yannaras, who will be bowling for the final time here today, can answer. He did answer. He hit a solid shot. Just can't get the 10 to go down.
Well, they are so determined. They want to win this so badly. Sometimes that's a detriment when you get that much. You apply too much pressure to yourself, too much mental pressure, and the other team is kind of loose. These kids over there are loose. They don't expect much. They just went out and bowling.
Like in baseball, where a pitcher starts to squeeze the ball, trying to throw strikes, aiming the ball, and then it makes it even more difficult.
Yeah, you can't find the ball. It goes over the fence.
That's right. That's right. You find it in someone's pocket as a souvenir. Now Jeff Beasley.
Well, he can do what the leadoff man did, throw a lot of ball speed here. He's got a chance. These kids are young and strong, and they don't have all those elbows and knee problems.
To be young again.
Look at this, crossed it over.
Well, they kept trying to nudge that 5, but couldn't get it to go down.
Well, if that one would have fallen down, I think it really would have been a moral blow to the Len's team, and it just might have wiped them out mentally. But they're still in this. Still anybody's match. If it comes down to Dale Traber, and he's looking at that last shot he made on this right-hand lane, he's going to have some, some trepidation when he gets up there.
Now the easiest spares of them all, the 5-pin. Just throw your strike ball, and there it is. The lead is 4 right now, so it is anybody's match. Gary Daroszewski.
You can see the tension building in the players. As you look down at the players sitting on the bench, they're all looking at their feet. They're looking anywhere, but basically at the lanes, it's almost like they're trying to avoid what's going to happen here.
Threw it straight right at the pocket.
Well, he's got to be satisfied with that, really, don't you think, Dave?
Yeah,
I mean, that was disaster briefly. The 4-7, excuse me, the 6-7-10 was there. And you look at it again. Look at the left corner. The last pin to go is a 7-pin. Spares. You have to fill the frames. This is the crucial time in the match. You need them all.
So a spare for Gary Daroszewski, and the lead at 6 right now.
Who's going to break away, or is it just going to come down to who can keep the ball in play? I mean, this is such a difficult lane condition with good players trying to make shots, and to me, the left-hand lane again is the most difficult. So Mike Shady's team has the tougher chore in my mind.
Shady, yes, again. Well, he has come up really large for this team.
Well, he's all done. He's done everything he can to help them. Now it's up to the last 2 players for their team, and here we are, Len's. They need to get something to work on for their anchor man. Give him a strike to go into the 10th with. Mark here in the 8th frame. He's been a big help so far. Oh, well, he almost got it back. The 2-8. And this is not the kind of spare you'd like to shoot in this situation. And I don't like the idea of him switching bowling balls for this. I'd use my strike ball if I were him and just move a little off my strike line. That's what he's going to do. He put that spare ball back down. He's going to use his strike ball. And just hook it off your strike line. Just let it cross like a Brooklyn. just like that.
Come on. Oh,
just enough.
Oh, wow.
I don't think he would have made it with the other ball. I don't think he could have controlled it enough to get the back pin out. So I think he made a good move here by staying with the strike ball. Even though he barely made it, at least he did make it. And that would have been disaster had he missed it.
Wow, is that close? Nudging the 2-pin.
Look, last time up, Chris Barnes was basically in this situation. He wanted to really help his team. Remember, he left the 6, 7, 10.
Yep.
Well, here's the time to do it. 9th frame, they're on a strike. Can really take command here with a strike. Even deeper. He's even farther left, and he got it back and destroyed the rack.
How is that? And Rick Miller says, thanks for setting me up, partner.
And he's also saying, oh, boy, if this comes down to me, I'm nervous.
Yeah. Well, now, Len Boresch will try to set up Dale Traber in the 9th.
This is a must situation. Need the strike, and you see the look on Dale Traber's face, and boy, looking good.
Very good. Very good. What a shot. Now it's up to the Iceman for Lens Limited and to Rick Miller for the Brunswick Bayliners. You see the lead is 18, but still a lot can happen in this 10th frame.
Well, and Rick gets to be the first one, and that's kind of an advantage because he can put the score on the board, and it's up to Dale to beat it. Look out.
Oh, boy. That one
All right.
put a nail into the coffin, but Lens Limited still alive now.
And there's no such thing as an easy spare at this point in the match. This is for all the marbles. This is the trip to Reno, and you see the look on Dale's face. He's got 4 guys that are depending on him to get up there and throw a couple strikes.
There's the spare, and he'll go for the pin count. Right now, Dale Traber knows he has to double for Lens Limited to go on to Reno. He needs a double.
Well, he needs a double and good count, depending on what Rick does here. And in other words, you can't get careless. If he gets the first 2, he can't get careless in the last one either.
Well, there's the strike. So Rick Miller finishes things off with a 185 total for Brunswick Bayliners.
By striking out here, his team can bowl 199, which would give him a 381 total.
It's 3 pins more.
3 pins more than Bayliner has.
So he needs a double and 7 to tie.
Good shot here.
That's 1.
Well, there's the Iceman. Remember the last shot he made on this lane? He almost missed the building, and this one is perfect. Now, that's performing when you need to, and not only under pressure for your team, but in your own mind. After you made a shot like you did in the 5th frame, you got to be thinking, wow, I don't want to get up there and bowl. I don't want to do this. One more time.
Trip to Reno basically comes down to this shot. In all reality, he'll still need 8 pins on the next shot, but everybody in this house knows it.
A lot of ball speed through the middle, and
through the middle. That's all over. Lens Limited will be the bridesmaid once again. Never the bride. Brunswick Bayliners, they are your champions. They hang on to beat Lens Limited. We'll be back in a moment. Congratulations, Mr. Shady. It was a sunny day for you guys.
Yeah, it sure was. You know, 4 days ago we never had a team together, and I decided some of these guys wanted to bowl the tournament. Went out and picked up 4 pretty good players. I tried to get some players that could shoot spares. I got who I consider the best amateur in the world, and then I got the big horse on the end who, when you need a strike, you put the ball in his hands and he goes at it. So what a week.
That's a Clydesdale down there on the end. I'll tell you what. Jim Otterstrom is here with us from Brunswick, and to the victor go the spoils.
Mike, on behalf of Brunswick, I'd like to congratulate you on a great tournament. You bowled well all week, and we look forward to seeing you in Reno in a couple weeks.
Thank you very much.
All right. And Ron Hopper is here with Ron Hopper is here, the general manager here. Thanks again for a wonderful week.
Thank you, and congratulations and good luck, guys, in Reno. Thank you.
And also from ABC with some Lynn shoes, Ed Gakeley. Ed?
Guys, congratulations on behalf of Lynn's Shoes. We hope each one of you will wear a comfortable pair of these, and thanks for holding up being a winner from my territory. We enjoy it.
All right. Well, let's see. Nebraska has won a national championship in football. Wichita State doesn't have a football team anymore. I'm sure you'll rub that in with Chris Barnes. But now you've got to decide what's going to happen, because I know you have to have some replacements on your team for Reno.
Boy, that's going to be a tough decision. We're losing 2 pretty good players, and I'm going to try to go out and recruit some replacements that are somewhat to their ability, but that's going to be pretty tough to do. But we're looking forward to both for the world title and bring home another, it won't be a national championship, hopefully a world championship in Nebraska.
That's not bad. Again, congratulations to you fellas. You did a terrific job all week, and you held off a very tough Lynn's limited team.
They sure were. I've bowled against most of those guys from Wisconsin, my home state, and they're outstanding players. And before I forget, on behalf of my team, I want to thank Brunswick for putting out an outstanding tournament, the American Bowling Congress, and Prime Sports for hosting this tournament on TV, and all the fans out there. It's been a great weekend, and thank you very much.
All right, thanks again, and we'll see you in Reno.